So topic is the ternary operator. So what is ternary operator? There we are using three operands with operators. Then that is ternary operator. If you have three operands, that is ternary operators. Here we have only one ternary operator. That is a syntax for this one: x equal to first value, and I'll change the color. If condition,
Okay,
if
else.
condition, yes, else second value. So if else like condition, but if else is totally different from this one. It's like if else one only, but here that one, if the condition is true, if the condition is true, then first value will be executed.
Okay.
Okay. If the condition is false, then else part will be executed. It executes same like if else part, but it's a ternary operator. So here we have that three values. One is x and first value and second value. Now three operands we are using here with a condition based one. So here the operator is if else condition. So if condition else is of operator, we'll use for ternary operators. So we'll go with a example program for example, I have a and b values. So I wanted to check find the biggest number of given two. So to find this one biggest number of condition, a greater than b. If it is true, the first value will be the output. If the a is not greater than b, then b will be the greater value. Then result is b. So when the condition is true, this is the first value is the output. If the condition is false, second value is the output. That's the logic. So now we'll write example program here. Directly we'll move on to this one. Ternary operator. Okay. So ternary operator here we're going to write over syntax for this one. I'll mention syntax here. X equal to first value if condition else second value. So this is the syntax. So we'll write example program to find the biggest number of given two numbers. Program to find biggest number of given two numbers. Okay, here I'm going to take that values here a comma a equal to something, or else we'll ask the user to. Oh, okay, first we'll go with that a equal to 20 and b equal to 10. So likewise. So here x equal to a if a greater than b, else b, and the print of biggest number is x value. Now when you run this one, so biggest value is 20. So it's automatically, even if you change the values, this is a 10, this is some 30. So what will be the output? Output will be b value. See here, first
Okay.
we got the a value, now we got the b value. So automatically checks for the condition and gives that particular value as value output. So that is the ternary operator. uh, to check that multiple conditions, we go with the else part. So for example, if I wanted to check that biggest number of given three numbers, if you have three numbers, then how to check that one? So now we'll ask the a equal to 10, b equal to 20, C equal to some 30. We have that one. So how to check this in single condition? Biggest number of given three numbers. Same, x equal to a if a greater than b and a greater than c. A must be greater than b and greater than c. Then only a will be the result.
Okay.
Else b if b greater than c. Okay, so this is the first condition checking. If this is true, then a will be the result. If it is false, then it should go for checking of this part.
Okay.
If a greater than b, else c as the output. Now print off.
So by
Yeah,
using else, we give all the probabilities whatever we want.
yes. Which are, how many we can apply this one for many number of conditions. So
Okay.
like this one. Okay, so so these ternary operators, as you said, that in a probability, that means of in machine learning there we have algorithms to work with this one. So in machine learning algorithms, to implement that algorithms will use these conditions of ternary operators.
Okay.
So likewise, even if you wanted to find that minimum number, so this is the biggest number of given three.
Okay.
Biggest number of given three numbers. So now if you wanted to find that smallest number of given three, so where we need to change, simply the logic will be the same. Simple changes, instead of greater than we'll use that less than. So if we change this logic, we'll find that minimum number. See here. So now we can easily find that minimum number. So here we got 10 as a minimum number. So this is the smallest number we got it. Okay. So to find that biggest number, there we use the greater than symbol. Smallest number we use that less than symbol. See here we are using a comparison operator. So we are using a relational operator here, less than, greater than, like this, to find that number's biggest number. Okay. So next operator we have some special operators, as we said that these are important in a data science part. Special operators. Special operators we have here. So here in Python, there we have two special operators. One is identity operators,
Okay.
identity operators, and second one is membership operators. Special operators are identity operators and membership operators we have. So first we'll go with the identity operators. Okay. Here membership operators, that is identity operators we have. So in identity operators, especially uh, which is used to find the comparison of addresses. There we have that two things. One is and second one is not. Is and is not. So normally we have that equal symbol, double equal, to compare the things when both are same or not. See here. So by using this double equal, for example, a equal to 10 we have, b equal to 20 have. If I try to check this one, a equal to b is not same. That means give the result of false. So what it's comparing, it's comparing the values of a and values of b. It's
Okay.
comparing the values of a and b. So but by using identity operators, which compares the addresses of a and b, addresses of a and b. For example, a address we have 10102118 something we have it. If b address also same 10102118, then if this condition is true, if we write a is b, then it gives the result true. It will not bother about the values what it's have. It simply checks with the addresses. Okay,
Okay.
it will not check with that values of the variables. It checks the addresses. If address both are same, then result is true. So but if you go with that double equal comparison operators, that will be check only values of the variables. It will not check the addresses. But in the case of identity, it will check for addresses, not the values here. So I'll write this point here. We can use identity operators for address comparison. Okay, so it's especially for address comparison. We'll use it. So that's why it used to check the addresses. First, we'll use that is operator. For example, example program a equal to 10, b equal to 20. For example, so here I'm giving two different values a and b. So here I'm going to check with the print of a is b. Just we are checking it a is b or not. So it's false. It's given. Why it's given false? Now we'll check that what the addresses of a2. So print of to find the address of variable we have that id function. So id is used to find print the address of that variable. Print id of b. So here if I run these two, so we can check the addresses. So both addresses are not same. 7663136 So when you compare last three numbers 368 and 688, both are not same.
Yeah.
So I'll copy the same program. I try to change the values of this. So if I give the 10 value, and now the address will be the same. See here 368 we got the true as result. It's not only checking for the values, it's also checking for the addresses. If both addresses are same, then only it gives the result true, or else it gives the result false. That is identity operator. Is not is used to check with that one. Is not. For example, if I use is not means it's giving that reverse result,
False.
opposite result of that true.
Yeah.
It
False
gives
print.
yes. Now actually a equal 10, b equal 20 address both are different, then it gives that result is true. See here
Okay.
368 688, but result is true. So just opposite to that one. So next operator, let me check with that not only with the variables of integers, we can also check with that hello. So here I'm see here I used capital H, here I used small h, lowercase h. Both are different. See here false we got. So and also addresses are both are different. 4400 4592. The addresses are both are different. That's why we got this. So we can use that for many applications of values, and we can also use this for list. For example, we have L1 equal to. We can also use it for list one equal to. For example, just I am giving a string, something like just I'm giving three names here, and also I'm going to use that L2. In L2 also I'm going to copy paste the same thing.
Okay.
So just I'm assigning both are same values. So just I wanted to find the address of ID of L1 and print ID of L2. So two IDs just I wanted to print. Now I'm going to check whether both are same or not. Print of L1 is L2. Just we are checking. See, we got the false value. Even though we used to store the same values, but
Yeah.
the address of list one and list two are different. Now it gives the actual understanding output here. When you load that a normal variable a equal to 10, b equal to 10, it gives the same address. here.
Okay, but how, what is this address related to? Like how?
So actually where it's storing, so everything what we are loading into the variable will store in a memory. So this will be used to check whether the the particular values are same or not when you are filtering duplicate values. So because for example in a class of people, or in a company, there we have a team of people. So all
Okay,
some same some different people may have that same name. For example, Vikas and Vikas are there, maybe a chance to have two members with the same name in team.
okay,
So in that situation, we have to keep both the names. We should not remove the duplicate. That's not duplicate.
yeah,
What will you check? We'll check with the ID numbers. Both have employees have the same IDs. Simply
okay,
they'll call with the ID number.
okay. No,
So
I
like
mean
this.
when you are writing this here, how is it generating the ID at the bottom?
So here ID. This ID function will give the address of variable. Here L1 is a variable. So to know that where it's storing, what is the address of storage? So to know that one, we have that ID is an inbuilt function.
Yeah, okay, but we did not predefine anything, right, for ID value.
No, no. ID is an inbuilt function. It's a
Okay,
function. Actually, this address is not predefined one. This address of memory, what we have in memory, hard disk we have. So everything which is storing in hard disk now.
okay. So basically, Venki, Vikas, Suresh, whatever the content, it is converting into this ID for that name.
No, no. This particular information is storing in this address. See here,
Oh,
let me change that. Some Ramesh. Just I'm giving it.
okay,
See here. So both the names, just I'm trying to change. See here, 840 is the address of that one, L1. When you run this one, 248, that is the address of that one. See, address got changed. That means the storage location immediately got changed.
okay,
So that is the storage location where this particular list of elements are storing. The
okay,
address is storing here itself. Address is like my our normal address, house address are like, so where we are staying.
okay.
So we'll get
Like
this.
it's like barcode generator. It's like that, right? It's generating
Yeah.
specific ID for each thing and it's storing in a place.
Yes. Like that only.
Okay, okay,
But barcode generator will generate based on the input data.
okay,
Somewhat different from that one. It's totally different. That is the address. Is the address where our data is storing in a memory. Because a memory we have that total classification. So I'll show you that. For example, I have the memory. This is a memory space. So this
okay,
memory space have that divided into segments. So like this one. So each and every segment of this memory have address location. That address location is, for example, first one is 1000 location. Then second one will become 1001, third
okay,
1002, 1003. So likewise, each and every memory location of this one have address location, address value. So for example, this particular L1 is storing here. So here means 1028 like example. So the address of that L1 is storing here. Address of L2 maybe stores here 1000 location. Instead of 1028, L2 may be stored here and L1 may be stored here. It's not a fixed location and
okay. It's
location.
based on the whatever it wants. It saves it in.
Where we have that free space, the particular variable will be stored there.
Okay, okay.
Okay, that's
So here, whenever we type as ID, it generates automatically
what
luckily.
is the address of the where it's stored in.
Okay,
To
okay,
know that address. Okay, so that is a identity operators. We have that. So next
okay.
one we have membership operators. Membership operators. So membership operators means to identify the particular element is present in the list or not. So especially membership operators will be used to check that availability of the characters in a string or for example, I have a string of hello. So membership operator which is used to find the particular h is present in the given string or not. We can check for individual characters or may also checks for particular string is available or not. For example, I have a string like this one. If you wanted to find that whether the particular good word is there in available in the particular given string or not. So how we'll use in our Word document? We'll use that. See here, I'll show you. See here, for example, when you open Word document, then you search for Control F. When you click on Control F, find. So what we are trying to check with this one here, I'm going to take, for example, plotting. Okay, so plotting is a word. Just I wanted to find where it's located. Plotting. Just see. So this is the first plotting. Automatically highlighted this one, and
Yeah.
find next. So there we have only one plotting word is got find. So if you wanted to replace that plotting with the new word, we can replace by selecting the next option, that is replace with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the background is the pop-up is giving user understandable information, that is a GUI. So behind of this one we have certain code to find this plotting. So this plotting can be found with the help of membership operators.
Okay. Okay. Got
Okay,
it.
the code behind of this one we have membership operators. So membership operators is in and not in. So there we have two membership operators, in and second one is not in. So these two are the operators used to check the particular member is available in the given string or list of or dictionaries. So especially membership operators will be used to. So I'll write in message here. So we can use membership operators to check whether the given object is present in the given collection of elements or anything. So collection of elements in the sense here example, a collection of a list or set or dictionaries or tuple or that may be a string. So we can check like this collection of a lot of values. So collection of a group of values. To find that one we'll use it membership operators. So here we have that one. First one, let example. An example program for this one. So here I'm going to take a one string. For example, s equal to have a string as I'm giving hello, or better to take Vikas. Okay. Just I'm giving your name for finding whether the particular character is present in this one. So I'm going to check. It also gives a true or false. Here I'm going to check capital V in what is the string we have s. When you check for this one, it's given true value because capital V is present in s string. Now, if I try to check with the only lowercase v, so there we have uppercase v, but we don't have lowercase v. It's given false value. So one more example. Something I given. Okay. Here, if I try to check with that, actually Vikas is there. I'm trying to find check with the Venki. It's not there. So Venki word is not there. That's why given that output is false value.
Okay.
If it is available, it gives the values result as true. instead of Venki, if I give Vikas, then automatically gives the result of true. Okay, so if it is not available, even if I try to change the even one character of the string, that will not give the true value. See here, instead of small lowercase k, capital K, but in our string already we have that only lowercase, it's given the false value. So because the Python is a case sensitive language, case sensitive means, so we have a different ASCII values for lowercase and uppercase. So it checks for that lowercase and uppercase values of it. Okay, so this is the membership operators we have in our Python. So this is all about operators concept here. So next one, we'll move on to that input output. So input output means of, if you are writing any program, there we need to use that input and output. Without giving the input, we cannot get the output. See here, what is the input for this program? S equal to because how are you is the input for this program. So what is the expected output? Output will be this one. So I will get this output with the help of print function. Without the print function, we cannot get this output. So to give input to that program and also to get the output from the program, there we need the functions, inbuilt functions we have it. That is input and output functions. So now I'm going to create one more Python file. Input and output. So normally if you wanted to give input or take the output from the program, there we have functions. First one is we'll get the input. So what are the input functions we'll use to give input to the program? So in Python, there we have inbuilt function, that is input function, a predefined input function which is used to give program in the form of string. Okay, so only it will take that input as in the string format only. It will take that input in the form of strings. So anything if you give input to this one, it will take as a string only. What is the syntax for this one is x is a variable equal to input of, just we'll write inside of this one, enter some string. So anything will write string. Example, here I'm going to write example program. Example program x equal to input of, just I'm writing a string, enter x value for example. So just it'll ask us to gives the value. Just I will run this one. See here, it's given a one box, entry box. So if it raises one entry box, here we have to give the text value. For example, here just I given 10. When you run this one, automatically use the output of 10 hours output. So sometimes Jupyter Notebook takes time. Here you can observe the symbol of
Yeah, yeah.
time symbol. So it's running.
Basically, which is used to be one of the program.
So it got stuck. So just I'll close it and I'll try to open again.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's not saved that one. So it's got saved the values. to open Jupyter again. I'm running a background process. Okay, it's given that output is 10. So it's taking the input from the user and gives the output common thing. So if I try to give, see here, example program here. So here I'm going to take one variable a equal to input of enter a value. So actually we are trying to give input as integers. B equal to input of b value, and when you try to print the result a plus b, so actually uh, it needs to give the result of by combine the values. Here I'm giving 10 as input for a value, but b I given 20. So actually expected output must be 10 plus 20 means 30, but what it gives, it gives 10 20 side by side.
Okay. Okay.
So that means here plus symbol is behaving like concatenation operator.
Okay.
Just everything what we are giving through input function, take it as a string only. Even we can check for that what is the type of this one. So print type of a. So let me try to check this one. 10 20. See what is the type of a? String data type. So that means whatever the variables, actually we are trying to give input as integers.
Okay.
Input also we are giving integers as input, but it taking in, even when you give integer also it's taking as a string only. So that's why here well plus operator is concatenation, just adding two strings side by side. To overcome this drawback, there we have the concept of typecasting inside this one. To do that one, so I do copy paste the same program. So just I have to convert this to integer. If you wanted to make this as integer, int of, just to keep that inside this function. See, okay. So in the same way, int of, here also had to give this one. Okay. So just now, if you execute this one, if I give 10 and 20, result will be 30. See here,
Yeah.
30. So now a becomes the data type of integer. A
Yeah.
is a
Okay.
type of integer.
Yeah. This concept actually I saw
Okay.
here. We can find the largest value, smallest value, everything, right? With
Yes,
this.
yes, yes. Previously, what we used to find that biggest number of given to, same concept we can write here. So if I try, if I just I do copy, now we can write the same program what we written in previously. Program to find the biggest number of given to. Just I'm going to take x equal to, so that is a, if a greater than b, else b. Here print of x here. So now we can directly give the values as input here. So previously we given direct inputs, but here we can get it. When you run the second time, we can change the values also. Here 23 and some 40 we can give it. So, but in the previous examples, we have we given that values directly as in while we writing the program, but here user defined inputs can be given. So while we running the program, we can give his inputs to this one.
Um, Same way we can identify dot upper, dot lower, all these things.
Anything, yes. So that things will be come in strings concept. So again, we will get a string concept there. We can use it. So here enter a comma b values. Here we can also not only take that integer type, we can also convert as a float type also. So here float, we can also work with the float data type. So we can use that to print of a plus b, just to find that one. So here we can use 10.5, 20.6 something, we can give 31.1.
Yeah.
So like this one, we can give any data type must be converted. Typecasting must be required for better output. Otherwise, it will take everything as input as string only.
Yes.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. So next thing, here here we are giving that input function. Then likewise, we have that output function also. So output functions already we used of print function. Output function. Okay. So output function, we'll use that print as output function here directly. So by using this function, we can write in different ways. First way of writing, print of text we can use. So we'll write some text to print here. So second syntax, print of double quotes or only variables. So we can use only variables to print the values of the variables. Third way, we can combine the text with the variables. Text, comma, variables. So we can do three things. So one is the text and variables, and text comma variables we can combine. So example, here I'm going to print of so when you run this one, it will print only text information. So hello, this is a text printing we got it. So likewise, we can also go with that. Here some, for example, a equal to 10, b equal to some 20, we have it. So we can directly print of a, or we can use that print of b. So just to print that values sub variables by using a print function. And third way, by combining both. Example with text and variable values. Okay, here I'm going to take a equal to 10 and b equal to 20, and the print of, just we are combining here. A value is comma a. Same like we can print b value is and comma b. See here, a value is 10, b value is 20. We got it. So here clearly we got the values and variable values by using the print function by combining of it. So here So in input function, I forgot to say that we also have that one more, that is a multiple. See here, we written two separate lines for variables a and b. Okay, so just if I wanted to write the same a single line for both variables, so how to write, how to take multiple inputs in single line?
By concatenation we can do, right? By just adding plus and we can do, right?
Yeah, we have other syntax for this one. How to read multiple values
Okay.
in single line. So how to read multiple values in a single line? Just I'm making it as heading.
Okay.
See, so here I'm going to write the syntax for that one is here a comma b equal two variables I'm writing here. So here just int of x for x in input of enter a and b values here dot split off. So forgot to say this function. So when you run this one, automatically it takes the two inputs. So I'm going to print the values of, for example, a plus b. Just I wanted to find the sum of two given values. Here see 10 it's giving. So sorry, in the single line we have to give two values. 10 space 20. So result is 30 it's given. See here, I'm not entering in two times. See, when you run this program, it asks us to enter two times. See, first when we enter, again it shows that one more box as entry box. Then only we got the result. But in the case of this one, in a single line, we can give two inputs. See here, 10 space 20. Two values we given single line. If you try to give only one value and you click on enter, it gives that error message. That is a value error. What's the value error? Not enough values to unpack. So there we have to give two values, but we expected true, but got only one as a value. So that's why we have to give two values as input to that
But
one.
this is little complicated, right?
Yes. And one more thing, we can separate these two values. Here, I separate these two values with a space. If I wanted to separate those two values with a required symbol, we can do that one with a split. Inside of the split function, within a single quotes or double quotes, we can keep a semicolon. For example, if we keep semicolon while we entering the values, 10 semicolon 20 we can give it. Then 30 is the result. Or else we can also keep instead of semicolon, we can also keep any other symbol.
10 plus 20.
Yes, inside of this one, we can directly enter. This is what we write in our calculator. See here, how will you enter that 10 plus 20 will write 30.
Yeah.
So what we are doing in our calculators will be like this one only. It takes that symbol as a split value. Split means a separator.
Okay.
So these are input of formatted outputs values, different types of inputs and output values of this one. Okay, so here input and output statements, I think is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so the next topic will be control statements. So that's also very important, because logical programming will start from next topic. So even we'll get assignments to write. So I'll give
Okay.
some example assignments to you. So we have no doubts, you can ask me now. Do you have?
No, I'm good for now.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Bye.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, bye. Good night.
And weekend we have class or not?
No, no, Sundays no class.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just want to
Okay,
confirm.
okay, okay, sure, sure. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
So again,
Bye.
Monday so for a Sunday night. Yeah. Got it.
Yes, yes. Okay, sure. Bye.
Bye.